in the windswept lands of 1865, where the earth met the sky in a seamless embrace, lived a young woman named Alara. Her village, nestled in a valley, buzzed with the stories of beautiful maidens and valiant warriors. But Alara's story was different. From birth, she carried a prominent birthmark across her cheek, a deep crimson map that the other villagers saw not as unique, but as a flaw. Dekayit, the marked one, their whispers following her like a shadow. Her own father, a man hardened by the unforgiving frontier, saw her not as a daughter, but as a burden, a bride price he would never receive. He looked at her with eyes that held only disappointment, a constant, silent reminder that she was not the daughter he had hoped for. Alara found solace, not in the company of people, but in the quiet companionship of the natural world. She learned the language of the rustling leaves, the secrets of the winding river, and the medicinal magic of the wild herbs that dotted the plains. Her hands, though not sought after for their beauty, were skilled and gentle, able to soothe a fevered brow or mend a broken wing. Her heart, though shielded from human kindness, was full of a love she poured into the world around her, a world that never judged her for the mark on her skin. She dreamed of a love that saw beyond the surface, a love as pure and untamed as the wilderness she called home. One day, a trading party of Apache warriors arrived, led by a man named Kale. He was unlike any man Alara had ever seen. His presence was quiet, yet powerful, his eyes holding the wisdom of ancient mountains and the depth of a star-filled night. He moved with a grace that spoke of a deep connection to the earth, his gaze missing nothing. While the other villagers postured and boasted, Kale observed, his attention drawn not to the prettiest girls with their dazzling smiles, but to the quiet corners of the village, to the way the wind stirred the dust, and to a young woman tending a patch of medicinal flowers, her face partially hidden by a curtain of dark hair. Alara's father saw Kale's arrival not as a meeting of cultures, but as an opportunity. A cruel idea took root in his mind. He approached Kale, his voice laced with a false respect he did not feel. He offered a trade, not for goods or horses, but for his own daughter. He spoke of Alara as if she were livestock, pointing to her birthmark as a sign of her worthlessness, a blemish he was willing to part with for a meager price. He declared that no man from his own tribe would have her, so perhaps an Apache would. The crowd gasped, a mixture of shock and pity on their faces. Alara's heart shattered to be cast aside by her own father, in front of everyone, was a wound deeper than any physical blow. But Kale did not laugh or mock. He turned his steady gaze from the father to the daughter. He looked at Alara, truly looked at her, for the first time. His eyes traced the crimson mark on her cheek, not with disgust, but with a profound curiosity. He saw not an imperfection, but a unique river of life, a story written on her skin. He saw the strength in her posture, the intelligence in her eyes, and the gentle spirit she tried so hard to hide. In that moment, he saw the beauty that everyone else had been blind to. He looked back at her father and agreed to the trade, but his price was not small. It was a price of honor, a price that declared her value, not her lack of it. Alara's journey to the Apache camp was a silent one, her heart a tangled knot of fear, shame, and a tiny, flickering ember of hope. She was leaving the only home she had ever known, cast out by her own blood, to live among people she had been taught to fear. She expected a life of servitude, of being an outcast once more, this time in a foreign land. She prepared herself for a life of quiet suffering, her spirit bruised, but not entirely broken. She was a survivor, and she would endure this, just as she had endured everything else. But the life that awaited her was nothing like she had imagined. Kale did not treat her as a possession or a servant. He led her to his lodge, a space filled with the scent of cedar and sage, and told her, "This is your home now. You are not my property. You are my companion." His words were a gentle balm on her wounded soul. He showed her respect, a courtesy she had rarely been afforded. He asked her about the herbs she grew, listening with genuine interest as she shared her knowledge. He called her by her name, Alara, and his voice made it sound like a melody. Slowly, cautiously, Alara began to let her guard down. She watched Kale, this quiet warrior who spoke with his actions more than his words. She saw how he treated the children with tenderness and the elders with reverence. She saw the respect he commanded from his people, not through fear, but through wisdom and fairness. He began to teach her the ways of his tribe, the Apache language, the stories of the stars, and the rhythms of their life. And in return, she shared her own gifts. She showed him how to use plants to heal, her knowledge proving invaluable to the community. The Apache people, seeing her skills and the honor Kale showed her, began to see her not as the marked one, but as Alara, the healer. One evening, as they sat by the fire, Kale gently reached out and traced the birthmark on her cheek with his finger. Alara flinched, expecting a comment on its ugliness, but Kale's touch was soft, reverent. "The elders say a mark like this is a kiss from the Creator," he said, his voice low and warm. "It signifies a spirit that is strong, a heart that is deep. It is not a flaw, it is a sign of your beauty." Tears welled in Alara's eyes, tears not of sorrow, but of a profound, overwhelming joy. For the first time in her life, someone had seen her, truly seen her, and found her beautiful, not in spite of her mark, but because of it. In the heart of the Apache camp, their love blossomed, as natural and as powerful as a wildflower pushing its way through stone. It was a love built not on fleeting looks or empty words, but on shared respect, deep understanding, and a mutual admiration of the spirit within. Kale did not just love Alara, he cherished her. He celebrated her intelligence, her kindness, and her strength. He saw the beauty in her soul, and to him, it made her the most beautiful woman in the world. Alara, in turn, found in Kale the safety and acceptance she had always craved. His love healed the old wounds of rejection and allowed her own spirit to finally soar, free and unafraid. Years passed. The story of the outcast girl and the Apache warrior became a quiet legend in the lands. Traders who passed between the two communities brought back tales. They spoke of a confident, radiant woman who walked beside the Apache leader, her head held high. They described how her once shunned birthmark now seemed to glow, a symbol of her unique strength. They recounted how Kale looked at her with an adoration that was plain for all to see, a love that had transformed not just her life, but the man himself. Her father, now an old and lonely man, heard these stories. He heard of his daughter's happiness, of her respected place, and of the powerful love she had found. Regret, a bitter and lonely companion, settled deep in his bones. He had traded away a diamond, thinking it was a worthless stone. He had been blind to the true treasure he possessed, a daughter whose worth was not on her skin, but in the boundless depths of her heart. Alara's story, whispered on the wind from one generation to the next, became a timeless reminder. It was a testament to the fact that true beauty is not about a perfect face, but a beautiful spirit, and that the greatest love is not about finding a perfect person, but about seeing an imperfect person perfectly, with eyes that look beyond the surface and straight into the heart. It's a story about how one man's love, pure and unconditional, could heal a lifetime of wounds and reveal a beauty that the rest of the world had been too blind to see. Thank you so much for watching. If this story touched your heart, please like, share, and subscribe to our channel for more tales that explore the depths of the human spirit. We'll see you in the next video.